The ocean has a rule. The deeper you go, the less life there is. That rule is correct. What it doesn't tell you is what the life that remains decides to become. Because as the light disappears, as the pressure builds, as the temperature drops toward freezing and the food grows scarce, the animals don't just get rarer, they get stranger, in a very specific, very measurable way. And the pattern, once you see it, is impossible to unsee. The ocean is divided into depth zones. Not arbitrarily, each zone marks a genuine biological threshold, a point where the conditions change enough that the rules governing survival have to be rewritten. The sunlight zone runs from the surface down to about 660 feet. This is the ocean most people picture. Light, warmth, coral reefs, schools of fish catching the sun. Nearly all the ocean life that has ever appeared in a nature documentary lives here. Below 660 feet, the light begins to fail. Below 3,300 feet, it is gone entirely. Below 13,000 feet, the pressure is 400 times what you feel standing on a beach. Below 19,700 feet, we reach the Hadal zone, named after Hades, the underworld, which descends to nearly 36,000 feet at its deepest point, the bottom of the Mariana Trench. Fewer people have been to the bottom of the Mariana Trench than have stood on the surface of the moon. 36,000 feet, nearly 7 miles straight down. If you dropped the Empire State Building into the Mariana Trench, it would disappear completely with more than 6 miles of water still above it. The deepest point on Earth is so remote that we have better maps of the surface of Mars. In the sunlight zone, animals look like animals. They have eyes you recognize, bodies you understand, behaviors you can map onto things you've seen. In the twilight zone, 6,600 to 3,300 feet, they begin to bend the rules. In the midnight zone, 3,300 to 13,000 feet, they break them. In the abyss, 13,000 to 19,700 feet, they appear to have been designed by something that had never seen a living creature before and was working from a description it only partially understood. And in the Hadal zone, at the very bottom, the rules stop applying altogether. This is not a metaphor. It is a measurable biological reality, and it gets more measurable and more unsettling the deeper you look. In the twilight zone, the first adaptation is light, not the absence of it, the weaponization of it. Nearly 80% of Twilight Zone creatures produce their own bioluminescence. They glow, not for beauty, not incidentally, but as a calculated survival strategy. Some use it to lure prey toward their mouths. Some flash it to startle predators. Some use counter-illumination, coating their bellies in light that exactly matches the faint glow from the surface above, erasing their silhouette from anything hunting from below. That last technique requires the animal to measure the light coming from above and produce an exact match in real time. It is not a reflex, it is a calculation, being performed continuously, automatically, by an animal with a brain the size of a grain of rice. But the twilight zone is still relatively familiar. The bodies down here still have a logic you can follow. The midnight zone does not. The barrel-eye fish lives in the twilight zone and has completely transparent head tissue. Its skull is literally see-through. Inside that transparent dome, its eyes point upward, rotating in their sockets to track prey above. What the barrel eye experiences visually
seeing upward through its own skull is something no imaging technology has ever replicated from the inside. The midnight zone begins at 3,300 feet. This is where evolution starts making decisions that seem, from the surface, like mistakes. The dragonfish has teeth too large for its mouth to fully close. They protrude outward, visibly, permanently, a cage of transparent needles around a body the color of absolute black. Not dark blue, black in the way that a surface coated in vantablack is black. The dragonfish skin absorbs more than 99.5% of the light that touches it. Even a direct spotlight from a submarine barely registers on it. The animal essentially disappears. The fang-toothed fish has proportionally the largest teeth of any fish in the ocean. They are so long that the fish has evolved special sheaths, pockets of tissue inside its skull to accommodate them when its mouth is closed. The teeth fit into grooves near the brain. When the fang-tooth closes its mouth, its own teeth are stored inside its head. In the midnight zone, the rules of anatomy are negotiable. Whatever gets food wins. Whatever gets food stays.
Below 13,000 feet, the abyss. Here, something changes in the logic of the animals themselves. The giant isopod is a crustacean, related distantly to the pill bugs that live in your backyard. A pill bug is about half an inch long. A giant isopod can reach 20 inches. Some specimens exceed 2.5 pounds. They scuttle across the abyssal plain on 7 pairs of legs, their armored shells built to withstand pressure that would collapse a car. This size increase is not an accident. It is a documented phenomenon called deep-sea gigantism, and it affects crustaceans, squid, worms, and sea spiders across the abyss. Amphipods, normally the size of a fingernail, grow to the length of your hand. Jellyfish with tentacles stretching over 100 feet drift through water that is 34 degrees Fahrenheit. A Japanese spider crab, which begins its life in shallow coastal water but migrates to abyssal depths as it ages, can reach a leg span of 12 feet. Scientists have proposed several explanations for deep-sea gigantism. Cold slows metabolism, which may allow longer growth periods. The absence of predators above a certain size removes the ceiling. Pressure may affect cell biology in ways that favor larger structures. None of these hypotheses fully explains the pattern. The truth is, we don't know why the deep sea makes things large. We only know that it does. And then, below the abyss, the Hadal zone. The trenches carved into the ocean floor by tectonic forces, places where one plate of the Earth's crust dives beneath another, pulling the seafloor down into depths that were, until recently, assumed to be empty. They are not empty. The snailfish, thin, translucent, almost gelatinous, has been filmed at 27,349 feet below the surface, the deepest a fish has ever been observed alive. Its body has no rigid bones. Its cellular membranes are reinforced with a molecule called TMAO that keeps proteins from collapsing under pressures that would crush everything a surface animal is made of. It looks like it should not exist. It looks like something that dissolved into a fish shape. And it is, by definition, the deepest living vertebrate on Earth. In 2017, a research team sent a submersible to the Mariana Trench. They were studying the amphipods, the small crustaceans that colonize even the deepest trenches in enormous numbers. They collected specimens from 36,000 feet down, animals that live in the most remote habitat on Earth,
animals that, in theory, had never been touched by human civilization. When the researchers analyzed the tissue of those amphipods, they found polychlorinated biphenyls, PCBs, industrial chemicals that were banned in the United States in 1979. The concentrations in the amphipod tissue were higher than those found in crustaceans living in China's Liaohe River, one of the most polluted rivers in the world. 36,000 feet below the surface, in the deepest place on Earth, more polluted than a heavily industrialized river. The researchers also found microplastics inside the gut tissue of nearly every amphipod they examined, plastic fibers in animals that have never seen daylight, in a trench that most humans will never visit, never see, and never think about.
The amphipods did not go to the plastic. The plastic went to them. It traveled the same route everything else travels to the abyss. The slow fall from above, marine snow, organic debris, the remains of the surface world drifting down. For millions of years, that slow fall delivered nutrients. Now, it delivers something else. The snailfish, at 27,349 feet, carries TMAO in its cells to survive the pressure. The amphipods, at 36,000 feet, carry PCBs in their tissue from a factory that closed before most of them were born. The animals in the deepest trenches on Earth are not just adapted to survive an alien environment, they are adapted to survive our environment too, without being asked, without knowing.
We have explored less than 25% of the ocean floor. In that 25%, the pattern holds perfectly. The deeper you go, the stranger the life becomes. And the stranger the life becomes, the more it challenges every assumption you brought with you about what a living thing is supposed to look like.
Transparent skulls, teeth stored inside the brain cavity, bodies that absorb all light and reflect none, animals that grow to sizes that should not be possible given their food supply, vertebrates living at pressures that crush steel. None of this happened by accident. Every adaptation is the answer to a question the deep sea asked over millions of years through the only mechanism evolution has. Keep what works, discard what doesn't, repeat until something survives. The deeper the zone, the harder the question. The harder the question, the more extreme the answer. The 75% of the ocean floor we haven't seen yet, the part we've never sent a camera to, never collected a specimen from, never mapped in meaningful detail, contains deeper trenches than the ones we know, stranger animals than the ones we've named, questions the deep has been asking for millions of years that we haven't heard yet. And somewhere down there, in water cold enough to stop a human heart in minutes, in darkness that has not been interrupted by a single photon in recorded history, in pressure that would flatten every structure we've ever built, something is alive, something is hunting, something is waiting for us to find it, or hoping we don't.